Have we all got a cuppa? Because we're probably going to need it for this astrology transit. Sit back, guys, grab a cuppa, and let's get into the deep of this transit and how to get the best out of it. Are we ready? A very warm welcome to YILDIZ Readings 5D. For those of you that don't know, I'm a psychic medium. I cover astrology, soul coaching, twin flame path, and more. I am live weekly, so please click the bell and subscribe. And if you do want more creative content like this, come and join the tribe. Now for the join button, the link is directly below on the main page. You do get exclusive Your Eyes Only content, twin flame coaching, pre-release content, and the extension reads. Without further ado, let's get into the video, and I'll see you every Friday. Take care, guys. Hi beautifuls, let's have a look at the full moon in Capricorn, which is occurring on the 24th of June 2021, as well as your zodiacs. Now we will have a guided meditation inside this video. We're going to in a moment jump into the aspects, and I'm going to talk about how they could have been playing out at a collective level as well as personally inside your own life. And I can't lie, this has been at a psychological level, a very busy, confusing time, a very highly volatile and in overload overdrive time. And yes, the best is yet to come. Moving into it, it can be slightly challenging because we're also being taught and prepared for 2022, and I can't state this enough. And I'll go into the reasons why. Jupiter next year will be in the House of Pisces for the year. At the moment, we have a small window of an opportunity to view situations, to shift things around with less baggage, more clarity, and more direct action. Now, although both Jupiter and Neptune are very, very spiritual in the House of Pisces, they also can fall into the lower octane, and that can be us trying to cope with situations. And yes, at times it can look like avoidance, but it can be coping mechanisms. So what we're being taught during this time is how to better manage ourselves, how to better have revelations to do with how we tackle circumstances in a healthy, calm, spiritual way. And that's not always possible, but we're definitely going to have moments where we might be burning that candle at both ends and, really overdoing the caffeine, or again, no solution at the bottom of a bottle. Jupiter in Pisces is 12th house energy collectively. It can be a place of spirituality, growth and expansion in the house of Jupiter, or it can be our place of undoing. So this course correction, this viewpoint of our foundation and what we'll need to do is for our benefits. So collectively, we're looking with this full moon in Capricorn at our employment, the work we can do, our foundation, how we can provide for ourselves, what the structures in our life, within our home, our family, our love life, all of those areas. And it can be great pressure. Now, thinking, meditating, having those situational shifts occur during the eclipse in Gemini would have been really overwhelming, so to speak. This is a week of deep revelations, deep truths being spoken. But it does bring me back to 2018 when we did have a lot of ascension. I have been guiding people on YouTube for about 5 years now. And during that time, we had Chiron in the House of Pisces. It does have a lot more work in the House of Aries, and it's very first house placement then. But really, 12th house can be the house of our undoing. It can be imprisonment. It can be habits, things that are hidden in that vault, and it can be very psychic and very, what would the word be? Very freeing. But we also are looking at our psychology behind circumstances, because during that time frame, I can say, even with my clientele, there was a lot of depression. There was a lot of ways we had to find. And I remember saying back to a lot of people on YouTube, I feel we are going to need to be moving towards how to be in a storm but not be of the storm. And it's mindset. Over the weekend, I put a post on Instagram, and it was mind, body, soul, get into the vortex. You can have an adverse situation happen. How you relate to it is your vibration. 9 times out of 10, the way we relate to each other is through a previous experience over a direct circumstance that we are playing out at a time. So the clarity will come. The clarity relating to those areas which I'm going to mention inside your charts and your zodiac signs. But food for thought. Things will make sense as Neptune goes retrograde. Retrogrades are fantastic for clarity and redirection and revelations. They're also great for quality systems. We do have between now and the 28th really to use that Pisces energy to gain some momentum, and also you'll have a lot of psychic dreams at the moment, and you'll feel more tired. So moving into the full moon in Capricorn, go gentle with yourself. The panicked energy, don't overwhelm and overburden yourself. We've only just had Mercury go direct, so ease into it. Definitely by the time we have other positions moving into the house of Leo, you're going to feel vivacious. Right now, you could feel like this is the worst planet on any planet, and in any hemisphere. That's how it's going to feel. What's the point, so to speak? There is a point. You're going to see why. Your full potential is going to be reached, and you will feel empowered, grounded, and embodying love. Let's get into the aspects to see how these things can be playing out into your zodiacs. Now, we currently have the Sun in Gemini, and during Mercury retrograde, although the Sun was in Gemini, it was difficult because we were in that retrograde cycle. We also had the eclipse. We also have the North Node in Gemini. So all of those Gemini attributes of life, our thought, our speech, would have been on overdrive. You're going to find it's going to settle down now as we move beyond the 22nd, because we're having the Sun enter the house of Cancer, which maybe we are looking at home, tidying up, really nurturing ourselves, but really looking at our contracts and balancing them. Mars entered Leo on the 11th of June through till the 28th of July. So yes, we could have been in our ego a little bit, maybe trying to shine bright like a diamond, but not coming up trumps due to the Mercury retrograde. Now, Venus entered Cancer on the 2nd. So with those contracts, it would have been again really difficult. We might have had a little bit of codependency coming up, but really the need to nurture with Jupiter and Pisces, needing that safety, that structure, maybe even some of us wanting to change the way we're coming through, but really needing people to directly understand us. As Venus enters Leo, we'll be more vivacious in our contracts. That can be with both work, our love life, and the people around us. During the two retrogrades, I would say that's both with Jupiter and with Neptune, be careful of your communication. Now, Saturn in Aquarius is in retrograde, and it's pretty much going to be there till the 11th of October. Pluto is retrograde in the house of Capricorn, so it's really tidying up and neatening up your foundation, which I'll mention inside your charts, and that's direct in October. And Neptune is moving retrograde the 25th of June. During this time, you'll have revelation and clarity. We also have both of them in the house of Pisces, both Neptune and Jupiter, which again has caused that fatigue, mental fogginess, maybe really using vices to cope with ascension. Being aware of it, but also seeing the polarity of what we can shift in our life. So when we move towards 2022, we're really forearmed and forewarned, and we can have that great success emotionally, physically, spiritually, without the emotional baggage. Now, next month, the must-knows. The new moon is going to be in Cancer at 18 degrees, which is happening on the 10th of July. And we're also going to have a full moon in Aquarius at 1 degree on the 24th of July. Now, we are going to be having another Aquarian moon, which I feel is quite synchronistic. And we're also having Aries and Chiron move retrograde, which is the wounded healer. It's now in the house of Aries, and it will be there for some time because there's more work, and it's also very first house placement. I am hosting a webinar due to the fact that both Neptune and Pisces and Jupiter and Pisces are going to be in retrograde, plus the wounded healer moving retrograde as well. These themes can play up, and it's there for your support system so that you can really, tackle those demons if they're coming up. Maybe understand how it's coming up in your own personal charts, as well as astrologically connected to your sign. So if you want to be part of that, the support's there. It's on sale on the website right now. Let's get into your zodiacs and see how this is playing out for each. Due to the fact that the full moon in Capricorn is going to be within the earth element, we are starting off with the earth signs on this occasion. You can stream forward and stream back to your zodiac sign as well as the element. And also we do have webinars that are coming up that can support you through these transits and your twin flame journey and ascension path. So feel free to come and drop into YILDIZ Readings 5D and see what is coming up on the calendar. Without further ado, let's get into Capricorn. Okay, beautiful Capricorn, let's have a look. Now, number one, this is very first house placement, and we currently have Pluto retrograde. So really, spiritually, you can be changing your wardrobe. You can be changing your demeanor. You may be looking at you know, how you can change things up. What's within your control? What are the outdated beliefs that potentially you've looked at? And this can really be in our career sector as well, because, you know, the axis of such is Cancer. And next month, yes, we are going to be having a new moon in Cancer. So for some of you, this can be a move between, okay, do you resonate with what you're doing? Really, you know, how you're showing up, the power that you have within your control. Definitely, this can be a time that you can be going through a value exchange, but really, if you have been working hard, you can start seeing the benefits. But any outdated patterns you can be working through, and they can come up in your communication sector. It's really beneficial to utilize the third house because you do have Pisces there. So communication is the key, but really speaking your ideas into fruition, having that healthy talk, but taking the steps. And really rewiring your routine to get a more effective balance out of both love and career. But you'll find between now and July, things are set to change. There also can be great tension for you guys at the moment happening in your fourth house, which is really family related. Now, this can ease up, but you can also be seeing how you relate to the circumstances. And again, I would say, you know, what we're giving to others and how much people take from us, but really how we can fine tune things. Some of you, if you are working from home, you may have fears surrounding such of your ability and capacity. But again, there can be transformations and changes, especially when it comes to accommodation and movement between now and next month. Trust the process, address the circumstances surrounding your life and your structures. And, you know, we can't be everything to everyone. We must look after ourselves first, then we can help others. And that really could be a theme playing out. On a level of the chakra, I would say I would very much balance both your base and your solar plexus. This can be a large area at the moment that is happening, and keep your fluid up. Use healthy vices to cope with the stress levels. Use the art of communication, but also you can keep things to yourself if you feel people won't understand such. I do feel a lot of creative ideas coming through for all zodiacs, and I feel also it's almost like it's a hidden vault of ideas, but it's also revelations. You know, people can actually pinch our ideas accidentally, so to sit on it, I feel by the 25th you'll have more clarity of how to tackle it. Beautiful Taurus. Okay, for this full moon, it's really hitting on the Jupiter energy for you. It's all to do with your growth in life, your values. This can be anything to do with marriage. It can be to do with your value systems of you and other people, and really your own separate identity, both connected and separate. I do feel some of you are looking at ways that you can actually grow, work. This can also be how that directly impacts you if the partner's energy is working and while they're away. How to balance those things, singles, couples, or in between. I also feel that family related can really have a new leaf. There could be subjects relating to a car coming up. And I'm also seeing your net worth is set to change between now and the end of the year. Big shifts are happening, but it's almost starting from the bottom and moving to the top in order for that to occur. Now, you do have a lot of energy at the moment surrounding home and your daily routine, but it's fine-tuning it. You know, this can be paperwork, maybe a move of house. You know, these things are going to bode because you do have fourth house, but it's really, I do feel it can be really getting rid of those debts, looking at ways to liberate yourself. And with this full moon, I feel it's really going to benefit such. If you are wanting to take a trip, you're looking at the bigger picture, you could be saving or making some major plans. Some of you may also look at study. Now for you, Taurus, in the chakra spectrum, I would say really protect your nervous system. You know, have time to meditate. Try not to allow that of where the foundation is to dictate where the next year will go. And what do I mean by that? You are very earth-based in demeanor due to the zodiac sign, and due to the fact that we have Uranus and Taurus, although it's really turning you into an extremely flexible energy, similar to an earth sign, it won't naturally feel natural. So it can directly affect your aura, but you could have a lot of revelations, a lot of enlightenment. Some people may not understand them, but you are going through a shedding. Now, there may have been some tension around the 14th of June. That was due to the fact Saturn in Aquarius made a square to Uranus and Taurus, but that's set to come up again. So, paying attention to what played out this month to be prepared for the end of the year, because we also will be having Venus retrograde in Capricorn. This can be changes if you're married, changes in the way you guys are looking at things and how you're applying your roles in the connection, but it also can be to do with love and what your needs are. But from your career perspective, the tidy up energy, you're deeply spiritual, and that vault of knowledge is really showing you what to let go of, what to usher in. It may be changing over a new leaf completely, but I feel you're looking at the relevancy of what is going to be. Uranus is almost giving you magic downloads, let me put it that way. You're going to be the innovator of astrology, similar to Aquarius, except it's really thinking outside the box. So when it does come to your industry, your work, and your love life, being really beautifully, uniquely you and flexible is going to be your saving grace. Eat food groups to balance your nervous system, and expect movement. Now, this can be massive growth, unexpectedly so. It could be a sudden trip and the requirement for such, but it's major plans for you moving forward. This could incorporate study. Now, the other area, last but not least, Taurus, is the fact that you do have Aries in your 12th house. Now, that's where the Aries and Chiron is going to be, and Jupiter is very 12th house. So, the revelations you're going to have are going to be massive. You're going to have a lot of light bulb moments, but you may at times feel you need things to calm you down. And it's really important, like I said, balance your nervous system, find healthy ways to deal with stress, take time out, have naps, look after your aura, and get organized. That is going to be something that can help you really reduce some of that stress. But during Aries and Chiron retrograde, it's really going to show you what would need to shift, because it's the excess baggage that we're chucking. That's basically what it is. And it sounds basic, but when we carry these things, we don't know how big they are. Okay, Virgo, now your chart's pretty active at the moment. And again, I did mention for the earth signs with these transits, with Saturn and Aquarius and, the air energies occurring in astrology, it can make it really tough for the earth-based signs. And yours is one of them. Okay, so with your chart, what I'm seeing is, number one, we do have the South Node, which we had the eclipse in Sagittarius. And we also had Mercury retrograde as well as the solar eclipse in your career sector. So lots of changes can be happening in that area, but it can be quite emotional when it does come to you really having these brand new beginnings. And that can be relating to home and location. So for some of you, there could be a transformation in home or with your children. Also with what role you're playing in their lives, as well as with the changes up in your career sector. But I do see you really trying to have as much faith in the process and shifting life about. Now, when I say children, it can also be your creative projects, tying up the loose ends, getting your paperwork done so that you can move forward and set this new intention. And especially in your career, depending on whether you're working from home or you're doing things in a different way, this is a time during the retrogrades and the full moon in Capricorn is to really take a good look. Take a good look at what is working, what isn't, and you guys are really good for that. But the anxiousness may affect you, especially when it comes to allowing people to help you, especially because you guys are really the analytical mind and really great at detail. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. Also, remember to delegate. And when I say delegate, it's we're going to have to be, again, psychologically quite relaxed. You do have a lot of brand new growth within your contracts coming, and that's with your career, expansion, finances, as well as relationship sector. And balancing that can be It can be very liberating and exciting, but it can be very frightening at the same time. So yes, from a workplace, you can, during this time with Pisces visiting your Venus house and Jupiter, it can be bringing things up, and it can also be really looking at our psychological beliefs surrounding our connections at a different higher octane level. Is it healthy? Is it not? Only you can answer that. Pisces is beautiful that it's very spiritual, but it also can be to our detriment. So we've got to say, we'll be looking at these contracts. But the one thing I would say is, because Aries and Chiron is going retrograde, you're going to have some epiphanies to do with intimacy. You're also going to be looking at, this could be to do with your money, your taxation, what you directly can depend on in a day-to-day. Is it daycare? 8th house is something that is a healthy codependency. It could be a wage coming in. It might be daycare. So you can balance your work-life routine. So really fine-tuning those things. But the one piece of advice I would give is, because you guys are so great at what you do, I understand people around you in the next few weeks may be tense. So, we can have an expectation of ourselves and accidentally sometimes of each other. Expect some things maybe not to go so smooth, but also find healthy ways to heal and love thyself during these stressful times. It is going to get better. Work management and love is set to be great, but really ask self, really sit with yourself and take a little bit of time so that you can see what resonates with you. On to the next sign. Okay, beautiful air signs, we're going to be having a look at your zodiac signs. And I'm also going to mention that, yes, during this time, we are having an Aries and Chiron webinar. So during this time of both Jupiter and Neptune retrograde, and then next month as we have Aries and Chiron go retrograde, yes, emotionally, even moving up to this full moon can be pretty tense, because we do have some quincunx and opposition energy. So if you do feel you need that, come through. Without further ado, on to Libra. Okay, Libra, let's have a look at your chart and see how we can get the best out of this for you to balance life moving forward. Now, Aries and Chiron next month, as I mentioned, is going retrograde. So that's hitting your Venus house. And already you could be feeling some of those themes and really meditating upon it. And at the moment, we have Mars in the house of Leo. So physically, you can be looking at people around you. You could be looking at how they're to the benefit or the detriment of growth. This can be both within love, our work life, and other areas. Now, we are having the full moon in Capricorn, and for those of you that are working from home, really fine-tuning your daily routine, tidying up loose ends, getting things in order. Some of you may be feeling as though really your service in an area or something to do with the family, home and career is coming to an end and changing up, but it's a brand new beginning. And these could be these new chapters that we're moving into in life. Now, within just the career sector, I would say fine-tuning the work environment, tidying up and getting organized, and very, very practical is a huge theme. Also, with Jupiter and Pisces, it's helping you at the moment to see how certain environmental situations are affecting you, as well as value systems and beliefs that we were conditioned with, and really having that understanding that in order to grow, where have we been standing in our way? What do you resonate with now? Some of you may be working, some of you might not be. And we always say focus on service. And the reason is we're in more alignment when we are within purpose and mission. And from an intuitive level, you guys can be very, very susceptible to energy at the moment. So your body is going to be like a sponge. You need to upgrade your aura, use crystals, do breathing exercises, use healthy vices to cope with stress. And I could say go and sit on a temple and be able to smug, but within a schedule, sometimes that's not humanly possible. But you will find the revelation within what it is and what needs to be shifted. Sometimes it's merely getting fresh air, to connect in with a human being, to just be in a different environment, very temporarily so, and then moving back directly into, home and nurturing in your daily routine. Now, 6th house can be health, diet, nutrition. It can be the house of hidden enemies. It's your daily routine, the level up, what you need to do to tidy up the habits. And this can even be our psychological habits, to shift that to be in a more spiritual place, at peace, psychologically, emotionally, and physically. Some of you also can be really coming to terms with ancestors. This can be memories of childhood, you know, your views of the way you do things over others. But this also can be a time when something to do with the home can be coming up. But I see a big change both within your health, the way you're dealing with things, and what you're needing out of love. I really see that shifting. If it has directly impacted you, I feel you're very firmly focusing on how you're showing up in the world, but also what you would directly need from a connection. Now, as it does move over to next month, and definitely with Mercury direct, I feel a lot more people will be very vivacious and social. And I do feel by the time we have Venus moving into Leo, I feel a lot of you that have no contact will. Oh, Geminis, are you all good? Okay, you're probably not, right? And that's because we have so many placements in your house. Now, the beautiful thing I can say is it's a little bit like a caterpillar going into a cocoon and then birthing and coming out a butterfly. You know, you might be born out of the cocoon backwards and feel like you're being dragged through the bush backwards, and maybe it being very you know, revolutionized, where you're jumping up and you're like, right, I know who I am. And not necessarily will that happen right away. We have the North Node in Gemini, very first house placement. We also had the eclipse in your house, and we had Mercury in your house. So your thoughts, your words, your routines would have been very busy. You would have been thinking a great deal. I wouldn't be surprised if you were experiencing headaches and throat-related issues. You also are going to find that the new version of you is changing completely. You feel you're shedding skin. You could even feel you don't resonate with people, places, and things. It's temporary. The new version of you will be there with open arms, but in a different demeanor. Let me put it that way. Now, you guys could be changing your wardrobe. You might be changing your hairstyle, especially as we have Venus move in over to Cancer. Your net worth is going to increase and your self-esteem is. And with this full moon in Capricorn, you are ready for deeper intimacy. Out with the old version of you and in with the new. When it does come to your contracts through, getting that paperwork done, and looking at the quality. Now, what do I mean by quality? The devil in the detail of what could be shifted to gain more success. Is it a website? Is it your viewpoint? Is it getting paperwork in order? There's something to do with your career stability, and also maybe even networking for solid contracts. This can be investments, legacies, inheritances, or maybe other people's resources. Now, this can be grants and things to that degree, but if you do want a personal booking, you can go directly below and I can have a look at that, but I do see massive changes there. Especially because we do have Jupiter and Pisces. Many of you will be very psychic at the moment, but you'll also be very intuitive when it links to your career sector. So be it you're working in a holistic industry or you are working from a spiritual practice, you're going to have the hunches, the growth, and the know-how from a psychological, and it'll be the steps you directly take to make that happen. But also the revelations of what you feel is it or isn't working for you, okay? Because we have both Neptune and Jupiter there. Try not to be too cemented on the ideal, because as both go retrograde, you'll have revelations. And, you know, redirecting course, it's almost like setting everything in stone. We've only just had Mercury direct. You know, give it a few days. Allow for this month to kind of cycle out. You know, could you sign contracts? 100%. Just go really gentle on yourself and bear in mind that big contracts can come, but actually have the courage to actually go out there and make that, you know, happen. That can be with new hopes and dreams, and be okay with changing. Be okay with, maybe I don't want to do that today. Maybe I thought this was my career sector and now I don't. Maybe I did feel that that would be a sure deal and now maybe I don't. But just be flexible with it at the moment, and hopefully your third eye, your crown chakra, keep your fluid up, will feel better as we proceed forward. Hi, my beautiful water babies. Yes, I should have done you guys second, so deep apologies, but I love you all equally. Now, we're going to do Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and a lot of these at the moment are very much in the current astrology, thus the reason why I said I should have done the second. Now, yes, the shadow sign of Cancer is Capricorn. We also have Pluto retrograde, which is very Scorpionic in energy. And last but not least, we have Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. So yes, you guys are really feeling it. You're going through massive changes and expansion. So the first zodiac we're going to do is Cancer. Hi, beautiful Cancer. Okay, now yes, your Venus house is set to shift, and with the full moon, you can really be making some peace, both to do with love, contracts, and more of how you see things, but really coming to terms with things. I do feel from a spiritual point of view that the Mercury retrograde, as well as the eclipse in Gemini, was hitting your 12th house. So if you were experiencing headaches, maybe fogginess, not being able to concentrate or sleep, perfectly normal, and agitation through the nervous system. So really be mindful of using vices, because your aura can be affected and we can be drawn to, instead of actually changing the circumstances around us, and sometimes it can be that we just can't. We're really having to find healthier ways to be able to deal with such. Now, you guys are a water sign, which is deeply emotion based and it's feelings. So it's I feel. And with the moon in each cycle, you are directly really taking on that demeanor during that time. You may have a lot more social responsibilities at work at the moment, but you're also looking at it from a different lens, and it is all to do with both now and next month for your zodiac. It's really finding that healthy balance, especially from a psychological, spiritual point of view. We can't have all and not one, and we can't have one without the other. So finding that scale, so to speak, a little bit like Libra, to get that balance back into life. Now, Aries and Chiron is going to be retrograding in your 10th house. And I had a very interesting revelation. I do feel sometimes, and this can be playing out in different ways, which we're having the webinar of Aries and Chiron on the website. So if you want to join that, jump through and grab a ticket. It's a group session with guided meditation and astrology. And people are able to ask questions during the session, which is great. It's very personal and private. I would definitely say sometimes we can feel that the only solution is to work, and sometimes a bit like a avoidance tactic, we can actually pour ourselves into it and forget other elements of ourselves. And we are more than work, and we're definitely more than money. And yes, we need it, but finding that perfect balance. So themes to do with such can come up, and also the stability. But I do feel a lot of you are going to get great benefits and changes coming. Trust the process and usher in that brand new beginning. Some of you also can get a pay rise. Hi, beautiful Scorpio. Let's have a look at your chart and see how this energy for the full moon in Capricorn, and really with the other transits, how it can be potentially playing out and how to ground yourself. Now, currently we do have Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, which is very Scorpionic in nature. But it's also very much relative to our career sectors and the movements and the actions we're taking. Yours is falling in your 3rd house, and you could get some communication. This can be to do with paperwork, employment, a finalisation, and a brand new beginning. Some of this can be short courses and education that you're doing online, but it also can be the steps and information that comes towards you. Now, creative projects and where you're set to be, you may be having massive ideas of different ways you can do such. This again can be more in a creative way. So how can I break that down for you? Both from an emotional point of view, this could be creative projects, it can be art, it can be a time where you may want to be a mother. It's very 5th house placement, but it's also balancing things. But I do feel psychologically and spiritually, psychically, you will have a lot of downloads of how you can move your life forward in your career sector and with love. Now, big changes are set to come to your love life, and maybe you had a revelation during the Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn and Aquarius, and this could be some difficulties coming to terms with changes in circumstances, maybe feeling unworthy or not, feeling that everything is safe and stable, and really needing some sense of stability in your life. So the steps you're taking can be both for your financial security and well-being, and in your mind it may be through money, nurturing. Be super careful with the emotions with Aries and Chiron moving retrograde. it can draw us to shop. It can draw us to take on the demeanor of the moon transits. And, you know, you may even want to move, and this can be go on holiday. Now, some of you may be making plans in relation to such, but I do see a lot of really planning and thoughts going into where to move your life forward. I'm also feeling tension surrounding home. And again, this can be from a whose role is what point of view. It should balance out, but the biggest change can be you could be getting a brand new car, brand new technology, but also communication coming in. Now, I would say balance your base chakra, okay, and your solar plexus, because you do have activations in that area and intensity, especially through diet and nutrition at the moment in your auric field, can be coming through in your 5th and your 6th house. So inflammation, indigestion, you can be getting nervous energy. So do breathing exercises and balance the base chakra, solar plexus, and sacral chakra. Hi Pisces, let's have a look at yours. Now yours is very first house placement with Jupiter in the house of Pisces and with the full moon in Capricorn. Let's have a look at your chart. Now number one, I would be careful of both your emotions around this time and you know, your nervous system. And the reason I'm saying such is Jupiter expands things, you know, and be it it's in your 6th house or your 1st house, it can happen to you or for you. Now, this can be inflammation, overactivity, overeating, emotions, again, vices. It's asking us to view a circumstance in our life to find the inner peace inside so we can get balanced. And that can happen within the 1st or the 6th house. Yours happens to be hitting your 1st house. So personally to you, you may be really transforming and changing. And I feel you might be wanting to come out really bold and vivacious. So if you are selecting items, you can find that they're extremely different to what you traditionally pick. I do feel you could be finding that, yeah, as I mentioned, your dress sense, your hairstyle, it's going to be quite unique and out there. And it's not to say don't do it. I mean, we do have Mercury direct. We also do have Jupiter and Pisces for a little bit. I would probably wait till after the 25th to cement things. And that's due to the fact that Neptune is retrograding. I am seeing with the eclipse emotionally, you may have been a little bit more housebound or had a lot of chores to do. Maybe we're thinking quite a bit on your childhood and family. And with the full moon in Capricorn, I do see some of your hopes and dreams coming back on the table, but you're going to be looking at what you would need to do to make some of those things within your control change. Some of you also could be really coming to terms with past tense friendship circumstances or past tense goals within your career sector. I do feel with the 11th house, this can be quite a lucrative placement. So really, you know, with all this Jupiter expansion energy, you are going to be given the golden glove. And it's what you do with it that's going to count. So this is a very, very lucky position. You may find you meet the right person at the right time to push your life into mission and your career, as well as within your romance. Now, your romance sector at the moment, you're probably going to find it's really going to be hot to trot as we move into the end of this month, maybe even to the middle of next month, because of the Virgo placement. Be careful with eating. Now, the reason I say that is because Mars is in the house of Leo and it hits your 6th house, and Jupiter is in the house of Pisces. So this can be emotions, it may be tension, it may be expectations on self. You also, if you're exercising, may overdo it. So, you know, take care. You might have a lot to do, and especially as we do have the sun moving into the house of Leo, you can find you actually feel more vivacious and more vital, which is great. You'll have more energy. Just don't burn yourself out. Motto for Pisces on the last but not least, it's okay to change your mind and have faith in thyself. Love and light. Let's get on to the fire signs. Okay, beautifuls, we're going to get onto your element now, and that is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And yes, we're having Aries and Chiron go retrograde next month, with both Neptune and Jupiter this month moving retrograde. Psychological emotions can come up, bad habits and old ways we were doing things, especially moving into the full moon in Capricorn. If you need that support, come through and book on the webinar or a personal booking. Otherwise, I will see you during the month. I'm putting notifications up for the lives. Stay tuned for those. Without further ado, on to Aries. Oh, Aries, do you feel like the world is at your feet, or you rather at your feet and the world's above you? Can't see the hay for the clouds. Now, yes, this can be pressure. This can be a lot of changes. You can also have brand new circumstances playing out at work. Now, if you've worked extremely hard on those projects, you may start reaping the rewards of such and see the end of a cycle and a beginning of a new one. With the 5th house in the place of Leo, we have Mars. So yes, if you're burning that midnight oil to get those things done, you're going to get there on time. Also, Rome wasn't built in a day. Now, I do feel also you could be it could be getting to a point where, especially because we had Mercury in retrograde, that your day-to-day routines, your thoughts, your conversations, everything you were needing to tackle may have been extremely overwhelming. So please keep your fluid up. Use healthy ways to deal with your stress levels. We can't be everything to everyone. And know that this is going to ease up, especially when it does come to home becoming more grounded, with love becoming more balanced. You will, during Aries and Chiron retrograde, be really reflecting on what needs to change and how you have changed in order to move forward and to connect in a different way inside your love life. And that's both really for Aries and for Libra. Once Aries and Chiron goes retrograde, you guys will be in sync with that area, but we'll discuss that at a different time. So one, I would say, big changes in work, be it you are leaving a job, starting a new job, or getting a pay rise. But the things you're doing to look at such and come to terms with it can just be mind mastery. Shifting things about, maybe even looking at being proud of yourself, but also how it directly impacts you and if it's worth it. But I do feel you're going to have a lot of revelations. And really, it's almost like if you were working on a project and you were like, I wonder how this is going to be. Gee, during Mercury retrograde, nothing moving. Suddenly it moves direct, and then, give it a few days. You have the full moon in Capricorn. Plus, we've got energy in Leo, and you find you're getting some momentum. So the proof will be in the pudding, baby. Hi, beautiful Leo. Let's have a look at your chart. Now, yes, the last few weeks, my darls, may have caused a lot of challenges because both the moon energy and sun energy, which is Cancer and Leo, do with an eclipse cycles coincide. Okay, you're very marshmallow inside. One is very strong on the outside, and you're very similar. Let me put it that way. Okay. Now, what I'm seeing is, yes, your aura may have been affected. It may have been an extremely testing time from the Sagittarius-Gemini axis. Let's have a look at your chart. So for you personally, the Gemini area is your 11th house, and this can be, a lot going on with superiors, a lot of changes. This could be you were upskilling and you were having to do things, learning, communicating, studying, journaling, blogging, busyness. It also may be thoughts to do with your friends, hobbies, and maybe feeling like a circus clown during that time. And, we always try to be super optimistic during Mercury retrograde, but then because we do have the North Node there, as well as the eclipses, I wouldn't be surprised if you were having headaches, maybe anxiety, heart palpitations from caffeine and overdoing things and trying to really, balance all things possible. The full moon in Capricorn is hitting your 6th house, so you do need to look after your health. But again, it's what you do. 6th house is very, where have I been standing in my way, my own personal way, with my choices, my actions, with my career. And funny enough, I do have Saturn and Leo, so to a degree I can relate to this. So I'll give you an example fact. Okay, one could say, gee, YILDIZ, why haven't you got your videos done? And I could have 101 truths But again, you know, sometimes the sixth house is a bit gnarly. It's a little bit like, I would love to have that cuppa with you. I would love to have that chat on Messenger with you. But right now I have responsibilities. You know, and the thing is, we're not all work. We are so many things. So Jupiter in Pisces, from a spiritual point of view, is saying, can you keep that up forever? You know, what can you do to create that structure of a healthy codependency without looking outside self? So the healthy codependency can be within a relationship. They have their job, you've got your job, you do with your stuff, they do their stuff. And you then have the joint connection. Codependent is, can you come do this for me? And I'm not saying you are. And it's probably the really slackest way that I could describe that. Eighth house can be tax, debt, legacies, deeper intimacy. But something you can directly depend on. And if it's not looking cemented, be it's in your career sector, which currently it's sitting in the sixth house, so it's something you're doing or something you're not doing. But you're coming to that end cycle, and initially it can feel yucky because it's a full moon in Capricorn. And it's like, right, now that we are where we are, what do we do now? That can be applying for a job. It can be maybe looking at the value system within the employment, within the family and the routine and the way we've viewed the world. Maybe it's something our mother and father told us, and we've been holding that and recreating that cycle. You are going to have new revelations to do with conditioning, and that is pretty much between now and next month. 12th house is Pisces, but you have Cancer in that. We're having a new moon in Pisces. See, I'm getting confused now. So Mercury. We're having a new moon in Cancer next month. So what I'm trying to say is, psychologically, relating to your family, children, your childhood, your creative projects, how you see things. If you've been juggling in your mind, or you felt you could or couldn't, you should or shouldn't, whatever those things are, what part of those stories are your truth and what part of those stories others? Breathe. Drink fluid. Take a breather. Don't be so hard on yourself. See what you find occurs in a theme moving into the full moon in Capricorn. You will be able to have a great revelation to shift your life around to get the most success you ever thought possible. Sagittarius, big breaths. Okay, you guys must have been super busy. We had the eclipse. We also have the South Node. And it was all happening in your first house placement. Now, yes, your nerves can be very frizzled. Really balance your crown chakra. Keep your fluid up. And I would definitely say during these transits and the full moon in Capricorn, get grounded. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Now, because you have first and seventh house placement through the eclipse, as well as having the full moon in Capricorn, you've had a lot of shifts and changes, both spiritually and personally, as well as in your relationship sector, even if you're not in a relationship right now. We currently have Juno retrograde in Sagittarius, which is all Jupiter growth, okay? But because it's in retrograde, things at the moment, you can be really going inside yourself, really digging deep, and then you're having to be in the 3D. And things aren't moving as fast as you would like them, but understand that this is the best investment out. Taking time to look at who you are now, who you were before, and culminating both energies to make that new version of yourself is really going to help you take the most logical, practical new version of yourself into this new world moving forward. Especially in 2022, where we're going to have Pisces in the house of Jupiter, which is your first house, and also your fourth house. You're really, moving forward now, connected to your lineage, and, maybe what your family thought you could be, maybe what you thought you could have been from where you came to where you are now, maybe even within your home environment, be it it's a home business, you're going to have growth beyond that point. Some of you could be working away. Some of you are maybe getting a bigger house and wanting more, but also looking at the direct environment in your daily routine of how you can fine-tune things to be everything to everyone, but also to have your spiritual compass intact. Your net worth is set to really increase, but it could be a lot of tying up of debts. And yes, psychologically, really looking at your budget and seeing how you can fine-tune things. Some of you could sign new contracts during this time, and it'll probably bode better, really, now that we do have Mercury moving direct. Mercury is really within your contract sector at the moment and within your relationships, and you'll find the communication can flow a little bit better now as it moves direct, and we can be more direct and intentional. We do need to be careful of going too fast though. So, you know, slow and steady wins the race. But with Leo there, we may be really rushing. But I do feel for some of you, travel could be on the cards, but also movement within your career. Now, you could be literally using advertising, really fine-tuning that, being bold and vivacious, really selling who you are as a human being. Don't undersell yourself, but try not to be too much an ego. The Leo energy is very strong, but you'll have more vitality and more health to be able to tackle these challenges. It can be testing moving into it, especially if you're concerned on your ability to have structure, a solid foundation, you know, the finances in order. There can be tension. Try to just really pace yourself through this. Come join the additional guided meditation for the full moon in Capricorn, which is very separate as well as integrated inside this video. But do know that during this time, you're reintegrating, you're upgrading, your intuition is guiding you. Even if you have to go back to square one in your logic, it doesn't mean you're 20 steps behind. It could actually be putting you 50 steps ahead. Food for thought. I hope this has guided you through the process of how this all applies, how it can be playing out, and how to get the best out of these circumstances. Now, as I did mention, yes, both psychologically, spiritually, we're getting into this balance. Some things might not make sense just right now, but we know that there needs to be some sense of harmony. We could have nervousness relating to what the future holds, but it also can be something that we're telling ourselves. Some of it can be out of our control. How can we learn to be in the moment? How can we learn to be in harmony with our environment, with our work, with our family, with ourselves, and be different but the same? We're moving into some very, very liberating, exciting times. And yes, after Mercury retrograde, we are all very spent. Will we be more courageous in body? Will we be more nurturing and loving? Will we find unique ways to live outside the box? Yes. Additional guided meditation videos are provided at YILDIZ readings, so stay tuned for the new updates. I'm going to do both twin flame and astrology based guided meditations. So each month we'll get those. I'll see you soon. Thanks for joining YILDIZ Readings 5D for your guided meditation, twin flame path, astrology, moon energy, and psychic updates. Please come join us. You also can join the Members Hub, which has additional sessions exclusively only to the Twin Flame Hub, the pre-release content, and then the extensions as well. So go and have a look, and you can subscribe and unsubscribe at any time. The schedules has been updated, so you'll get a notification the day before and a notification the day of my lives, and more set to come. Love and light, guys. Take very good care of yourself, and bear in mind we do have Aries and Chiron and other webinars coming up on the website, as well as specials, so sub to the website for all the up-to-date information and follow me on Instagram. See you during the week.